Thank you for joining me, Cass Allen, for today's episode of Play With It. We're kicking off the week by talking about abuse. We're going to try to hit on 5 different types of abuse: verbal, physical, emotional, material, and sexual. We're going to do some shorties on this. We're not following the usual format that we've been following of dating one, being one, etc. We're just going to talk about the definition of each one of these and explore some of the signs. Unfortunately, abuse does sneak up on some people. Some people don't realize that it's happening until they're well into it. And I've often heard people say, in hindsight, I realized that this meant that and that meant this. So I'd like to explore that a little this week, because in dating, we do run across abusers. I've heard stories that need to be a damn movie. People running out of houses with just their drawers on or nothing, running for their lives. People making scenes and dragging each other down the street. The cursing, the screaming, people destroying each other's property, people having sex with each other for revenge. I could go on and on, all of these are forms of abuse. There, again, like I said, some of you out there, you're so excited, your monkey ass is so puffy that you're not paying attention to the signs that could to get you out of trouble. And that's what this week is about. Defining abuses, the different 5 that I mentioned, and also exploring some of the examples of it for some of you who may be overlooking some clues to get your ass out of some situations before they become fatal, even. Not just detrimental. So we're going to kick it off by talking about verbal abuse. And as with every topic, I'm going to define that just so that we're all in the same context. By verbal abuse, I refer to harmful language that's used for different situations to, for example, intimidate or belittle, control, or threaten. Some of you're hearing these things. And let me just start with a disclaimer. For all of you people who like these things, for all of you people who are into abuse, because they do exist, I've dated some of you, I'm not talking to you. So there's no need for you to talk shit back to your camera and say, girl, I like that. Okay, we're not talking to you. We're talking to people who don't like abuse, who need to pay more attention to signs that will relieve them of abusive situations. There we are for the context of the week. Y'all got me there? Okay. So some of you out there, while you're dating, people are telling you right in your face what's in store for you. And instead of seeing the personality of the person that you're dating and defining this person as an abuser, you personify whatever they say onto yourself. I'll give you a great example. You may be dating someone. I'm dating someone. We'll use me. It doesn't have to be a you. I'm dating someone. Every time we go out to the restaurant, she complains that she doesn't like what I eat. I don't know how to choose food. I need to learn to be more like her. Now I got a complex because this woman told me I didn't know how to eat. Now I feel like I'm a stupid eater. Versus what should really be happening is me identifying this person as so many other things that I won't mention to behave right now. But this person is using a form of verbal abuse to attempt to belittle me, you know. as I was saying, you know, belittling someone is a form of abuse that people often overlook, and they take it and they internalize it, and you know, they absorb and start thinking that things are wrong with them. And y'all know how I feel about that. You just gotta find your match. Um, some of us allow people to intimidate us, not because we are afraid of them, but because we don't want to mix. We don't want the confrontation. We don't want to face a juncture that may cross over into something that's no longer verbal, because, you know, verbal abuse is normally a prelude. I won't say normally, often is a more fair word. Verbal abuse is often a prelude to physical abuse. So I find that there are people out there who avoid, you know, going in that area because they don't want to take that chance. Um, Unfortunately, that can put you in a situation where you become a scapegoat and a doormat to people for the rest of your life, because they understand the role that you're willing to play and that you're willing to sacrifice yourself for them. So you have to be careful if you're one of those people out there that acquiesces to such behavior from people. You know, there are people out there who like to personify themselves as someone with a lot of bravado, and, you know, having control over people even. So you become a likely candidate for them to entertain the crowd with, when they know that you're never going to buck back. You know, as someone who's dating these type of people, as I say, think about what you're willing to endure. You know, you walking into this shit and you going, you know, oh, you're verbally abusive. Okay, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to shut this shit down? Are you going to shut it down? Or are you going to just let it happen? You know, there are people out here who'll sit right next to you and say, if you don't do what I say, I'll fuck you up. And they mean it. It's not a joke. You okay with playing roulette with, am I going to get a black eye today or not? You know, some of you hear the signs and you go, oh, they said it 3 times, but they didn't do it. So they're just talking shit. You had 3 times to get the fuck out. Now the 4th time you got the bus in the eye. Sounds simple. Y'all know you out there, because I know y'all. Oh, I just thought, you know, it happened once and the person said they're sorry. Or some of y'all are on number 44. They said but they love me. But you have no self-esteem left. You have the shakes. You're afraid to do anything on your own accord because you're afraid of this person abusing you verbally, calling your name, screaming at you. Form of verbal abuse. You know, it's so important, and I've been through this. Y'all know me. I'm not talking about shit that I haven't been through or the people around me. I'm sure many of us have been through abusive situations. I've been abusive. You know, I've told many people I know, I've talked about this topic before on another show that I hosted. You know, we all have abused somebody at some point, certainly verbally. I've cursed people out. That's verbal abuse. Shit, I've been mad at people and said things I wish I hadn't said after I said them. Because I know I was saying something that wasn't cool. To me, that's verbal abuse, you know. I've said things to people to hurt their feelings when they've hurt mine. Just because it's a retaliation, it doesn't mean it's not the same thing. You know, it's still abuse. So I'm going to tell you, for me, there are couples out there that I know. They call each other all kinds of shit and they in love, and that's how they rock. So that's why I said, you know, verbal abuse, I think, is not necessarily a broad general definition to it, because people like different flavors, you know. People can handle different things. What hurts one person's feelings doesn't hurt another person's feelings. I think what's important as we're discussing all of these abuses is being able to vocalize what feels like abuse to you, whether someone wants to agree or not. You know, it's important to be able to say, I don't like what you're doing. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel this type of way. and that person has the opportunity to take remedial action, you know, to soothe whatever's going on for you, or put more fire to your bush, and then it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to. Oh, you know, you stepped up for yourself, but this person stepped up even bigger and said, fuck you, what you gonna do now? You gonna take more verbal abuse? Because that was more. They're like, fuck you, you little fucker. I don't give a shit what you think. Now what's up? What we gonna do now? You know, this is real talk. And I think it's important, the conversation to have that I never hear people really having. You know, of course there are people out here who gonna lie to you if you're on a date and you're like, yo, boo, you know, you're looking all cute and everything. I like the conversation. Everything just feels right. Let's talk about your personality. Let's talk about your temper. Let's talk about the kind of shit you say to people when you don't like what's happening in the room. You know, fucking ask if you feel you need to know. Let them know. I need to know. Do you call people bitches? Like, do you scream and curse? Like, what do you do when you get mad? You know, and a real one's gonna tell you the truth, whether you like what they're saying or not. When I get mad, this is what I do. And you have to decide if that's something you want to deal with. See, the fun thing for me is some of these things I tell you I've been through, even in my last, you know, relationship, my current. That's what I mean by last. So let's get that right. You know, we had some healthy conversations, you know, when we began to have conversation, and we asked each other a lot of questions. You know, a lot of questions that people don't normally ask before they connect. A lot of stuff that people want to get to know after they got some monkey ass, you know. So, you know, the answers were lengthy. The conversation was engaging. And we talked about our personalities, you know. Like I told her, everything's beautiful when everything's going right. I want to know who you are when you ain't fucking happy. You know? Of course, who needs to know how you act when you're happy? You're going to be good. You know, I want to know what ticks you off. What makes you want to grab a knife and chase a nigga through the house? You know, where are your triggers? What are those buttons? So I can try to respect them as I walk in the door. Instead of finding out later that I've done something, you know, I've violated something that I can have the opportunity to avoid. You know, and y'all know what I say on that, you know. And yeah, people, like I said, we get mad at each other. We yell at each other. Some days I'll be like, to hell with this. And she feels the same. Like, I wish you just shut the fuck up. You know, some people take that as verbal abuse when someone won't stop talking even. Which is why I said there are different levels to this. But this week, not only are we talking about abuse, but the combination of that is being able to stand up for yourself and not have to fall under this category. Let it be that somebody tried to abuse you, not that somebody actually like followed through with it, executed, and got away with some shit with you to the point where you now need, you know, people to pull you out of quicksand. Something, as I said, myself has been through. I think most of us have by the time we've hit this age. We've been through good relationships, hard relationships, challenging. Yeah, there are a few of you out here who have never seen that, and I'm happy for you. But in general, people have already been through something abusive, or you've been the abuser. You know, some of you out there are the abuser right now. You know, you out there talking shit and mistreating people with your mouths. And all I can say on that, as I say on everything regarding to abuse this week, based on my beliefs, you know, I pray for you when karma gets your ass. You know, and honestly, I hope it's soon, because I'm a proponent of love. You know, and that's not good behavior. So the sooner you can end it, the better. And on that note, I told y'all it would be shorties this week, and it really is. Thanks for joining me for Play With It with Cass Allen. Have a good day, and have a good night.